Hello, welcome to the latest in our series of campaign advice videos where we're trying to talk you through some of the basics and then some of the more complex issues that might arise when you're fighting an election. And we're talking this time about a very particular sort of election, a by-election, something that happens not in the usual election time frame. Justin Tomlinson from Conservative Print, former Member of Parliament and Minister and all-round good egg campaigner. By-elections can be tricky things, can't they?
Well, I've fought a council by-election. I've organised many over many years of campaigning, and I've seen some really good narrow victories, some big victories as well, but some ones where you can look back and think, I'm glad I did X.
Yeah.
Now, with my business hat on, we get a mix of people coming to us. We get your experienced campaign teams who've got a pretty good idea of what they want. We're very quick, and that's important because by-elections happen like that.
Well, and that's crucial, isn't it? The whole point of a by-election is you get no warning. You don't know it's happening. Maybe 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Can you hit the ground running with a candidate?
And people will come to us and say, this has just been called, we need something for this weekend, and we can have that discussion, chat through all the options, and make sure that they've got literature in the hand. That's that first way of calling cards, intro letters, the postal voter letters. But also, and we're seeing more and more of this, associations where it's a new team. They've not fought a by-election before, perhaps not even fought a round of local elections. So we will actually help them come up with a plan. And the first thing is to be realistic. What can they do? There's no point ordering 8 leaflets if you've only got one person in your team. So it's looking what is the best way to use what limited resources you've got, work out the timings, because you want to be doing things like the postal voter letters before postal votes land, so work out when your postal votes are going to land and work backwards. How quickly can you get candidates' photographs in place? And then helping them. So quite often they'll say, well, where do we start with content? So what we will do is we will share lots of examples, and we've got basic template packs, we've got more advanced packs, and they'll have a look at that and they can use that as a base and then adapt it to the local issues that they want to highlight.
And the thing is, even if you're in an association, a by-election suddenly being called, you've never done one in the past, you've worked on so many of them, you've worked with people who've worked on so many of them, it's about that collegiate sort of sharing of best practice.
And so we will spend time, and we will do individual online chats to talk about the campaign plan, the best things to target. The key thing with council by-elections is turnouts are very low. You win and lose by a very small margin. And therefore, just coming up with that plan, just to maximise the best you can out of the limited resources you've got, can really genuinely make the difference. And we love it when customers come back to us and say, we've just won by a handful of votes, and they've just got it absolutely right. And I've been involved over 25 years, and there's been years where you don't have to fight a particularly good by-election and you win handsomely. And then there's tricky years where you can fight a textbook campaign and fall just short. But what you've got to try and do is, as long as you know you've done everything you can, and then that's all you can ask for.
Well, speaking of winning by a very small margin, let's speak to someone now for whom that came very, very true not so long ago. Well, let's talk to someone who has got the scars of having fought a by-election, but crucially done so successfully. David Heap, who is now councillor in Hyndburn and fought a very successful by-election, David, I think 9 months ago or so, yes?
Yeah, 9 months ago now. It was.
How much notice did you have that there was going to be a by-election, or was it thrust at you with very little notice?
Of very little notice. We're only talking a matter of weeks.
And in those circumstances, from a standing start, how do you get a campaign up and running?
It's very challenging, obviously, because you don't have the time to prepare. But what I was fortunate with is I had a very good team around me, and be able to get that plan down very early, decide what our message were, and because I live locally as well in the local area, I knew all the local issues. Now, the key thing for me is don't make it national. If you're going to win a local election, you've got to go on the points that are very local to the people that live there.
And just to set the scene, as I understand it, at the beginning, it was pretty much a 4-horse race. It could have been you, Greens, Reform, who else was in it? Anyone could have taken it, yeah?
Yeah, so it was a Labour-held seat, and Reform were on the march, and also you can never discount the Greens in any area. So yeah, it was going to be very difficult, and thankfully, I came through and won.
Right, well, talk us through then. So, beginning of the election campaign, what's the first thing you do in the first week? How do you hit the ground running?
So, what I decided to do is I got my close team around me, very good team, experienced, and the message had to be very clear, had to cut through, be local, and stick to the plan. And that is the way that too many campaigns, they deviate from the plan or go here, go there. We've got to stick to the plan. Now, also, I was very fortunate in being able to have conservative print and Justin, who was a former MP, and we worked together. It was my literature, but conservative print managed to put it together so that it was a clear message. So we put out 6 pieces of literature, and even knocking on the doors, it was always the same clear message, start to finish. And we set out right from day one exact timings of when we were going to put the intro letter out, when we was going to go and knock the doors, when we was going to do the get out the vote. And the most crucial thing was the postal votes and getting those postal vote letters out at the best time. And when we saw the ballot boxes at the end, I was behind slightly to reform until those postal votes were turned upside down, and I won it overwhelmingly with the postal votes. And I put that down to the last letter that they saw before the postal votes landed on the Monday. They saw my postal vote letters on the Saturday and Sunday, and I believe that's why I won.
Well, we've mentioned the importance of postal votes in some of our other videos, and I used the phrase before, and I repeat it. Now, don't think of polling day as polling day. Postal votes land 2-3 weeks in advance, and that's the important one.
Hugely. And the thing with David and his team is right. A very experienced team agent, Stephen Smithson, has been there, done that, and it was key. They had a plan. They set very firm times. They wanted to get the first leaflet out and the postal voter letters out before postal votes landed, have as much time as possible to go and speak to them. And they were not afraid to canvass. I went and visited, I joined them in on the canvassing session, and they blitzed their way through the ward, having really good conversations. And David was right about his local content. He was campaigning on issues that mattered to people. And even when he saw the other teams campaigning, he knew, as long as he got his leaflets out, 6 pieces, so there was pledge letters, postal voter letters, election leaflets, intro letters, the calling cards, GOTV, all of that combined. And I saw him on the doors just sealing that deal with people who were saying, well, I'm considering one of 2 parties, you're in that conversation. And David was able to say, look, give me that chance. And all of those things combined gave him, in what was a very, very difficult political environment, a crucial win.
How many did you win by, David?
14. So just 14 votes beat Reform by. And what I've got, and which I've still got now, which I'm proud of, is there were so many voters that have either not voted for 10, 15, 20 years, and some that have never voted. But they said, we'll take a chance on you. And one of my promises were, if I do win, I will be here all year round. And that's what I've stuck to. I didn't make any extravagant promises other than I'll always work hard and always be here. And those voters now, they'll stay with me for life.
Yeah. And he's been, we've seen they've done newsletters since. Again, good content showing David picking up local issues, delivering on them, good social media presence. And that is how you dig yourself in. And political cycles go up and down, and there'll be much easier elections than the by-election you have to fight. But if you can win in the difficult times, you've got a long political career.
And now, obviously, in by-elections, canvassing is important. A get out the vote campaign is important. We're not going to talk too much about those because we've got separate videos specifically about those 2 subjects. But we can't gloss over and say they're not important in a by-election. They absolutely are. But thinking about polling day itself then, David, how much of an operation did you do on the day?
It was all in the preparation. Because we'd canvassed, I'd knocked on at least every door 3 times, so we knew where our voters were. And that is the key, especially when it's a 4-party race. We want to make sure that their voters forget that there's a vote on, and our voters come out. So it was very clear, very targeted. I knew where my voters were. So on the day, I was only knocking on Conservative voters' doors to get those out.
How organised were the other teams on election day?
Not very. And I put that, again, there's all these reasons are small reasons why I won, but put them together, that adds it up because Reform were not organised at all. Reform didn't know how to canvass. They'd not got the data. They were kind of going here, there, and everywhere. Now, this year, especially, Reform, they should have won on a national swing. Everywhere else, they were winning. We've seen it at county elections. Reform have won it. But at this one, I think we won because we were the most organised. Like I say, with the postal vote letters, we beat everybody. But even the seasoned pros like Labour, we beat Labour on the day because we were more organised.
Right, well, now let me ask a slightly controversial one then. It sounds to me, David, as if you had a great team, really experienced agent, lots of good data as well in the form of voter intention figures. Suppose, Justin and David, I'll put this both to you. Suppose you're selected as the candidate in a ward in a council area where your association has got 3 people with the best will in the world. They may be older people, they haven't fought a by-election, you haven't got the boots on the ground. How do you find a by-election in those circumstances?
Well, you just got to plan to what you can do. We have some candidates associations who will order lots and lots of leaflets and have very ambitious plans. And then there'll be those who can do a lot less. And often, it depends what your opposition's like. Because you may be on your own, but so may be the opposition. So don't presume you can't win unless you've got a big team. Do what you can. And then there are 25 years I've been doing local elections. There have been some very easy elections and there have been some very difficult elections. But the bit you can control is as long as you've done as much as you can with the resources you've got, then you just see what happens.
David?
Yeah, and I don't want anybody to mistake that when I say I had a good team, it was not a big team at all, because the situation you described is just what we have in Hyndburn. A lot of people in our association are older, not as mobile. I had a good, strong team of about 4 or 5 people. You've just got to work harder than the opposition. There's no magic formula to it. Just, I made sure that at the end of the day, if I look back, could I have done any more? No. And if you can say you could not do any more, then there's nothing more you can do.
That's a great note to finish on. David, thank you very much indeed. Proof that by-elections are winnable even in some of the most challenging circumstances. Thank you very much for your time.